Let's have a look at the Fuso starting grid for race number 5, 100 Ks this afternoon, Symmons Plains Raceway, and for the 26th time in his career, Mark Winterbottom on the pole. From the race 3 winner from yesterday, Fabian Coulthard, and then Jamie Whincup, our reigning champion, alongside James Courtney, who's having his best run since way back in 2006 here. Man of the match for that move at turn 6, Scotty McLaughlin. He'll be alongside Will Davison, who's still not happy with car balance. Then Jonathan Webb and Jason Bright, winner of race number 4, followed by Shane Van Gisbergen. David Reynolds, can you believe that they got that car of David Reynolds out there and repaired from the damage it received?
Craig Lowndes and Garth Tander side by side. Combined, they've got 13 race victories at this circuit, so a wealth of experience, and they know how to get to the front. Lowndes, of course, is not a happy man after the weekend that he's had. Further back, that's Alex Davison. We checked in with him and his team boss, Charlie Schwerkolt, the Gelben Ford. David Wall, innocent victim down at turn 4. We've mentioned Russell Ingall. There's Todd and James side by side. Both Nissans, different sponsors. Alex Premer turned 31 on Friday. And Rick Kelly with Maro Engel, the SP Tools Racing Mercedes-Benz, with Tim and Johnny out of DJR, bringing up the rear of the grid for Wilson Security Racing. So what a performance from Ford Performance Racing to get this car back out on the grid. Extraordinary.
Just before you did that cross to me down there earlier, Matt, they had the strings out for the wheel alignment, which they do manually with these cars to just make sure they're right, and it all stringed up well. And I'm sure it's not absolutely pristine, but they have done a remarkable job. Joining Lee Holdsworth, Irwin Tools entry there, the Erebus Motorsport V8 entry. And he's been in the mid-pack pretty much all weekend and not giving an awful lot away in lap speed to the lead cars. Here's Will Davison, just not convinced about getting on top of the balance with this car at the moment. Spent a little bit of time speaking with him and Mark Winterbottom, his teammate, earlier.
Keep it rolling in, about another metre. Okay, stop it there, perfect.
Rob Starr looks after James Courtney, and they were doing a little bit of repair work at the rear of the car after the last race, but he felt that they'd been making genuine ground with the balance and behaviour of the car, so that he thinks that they'll be reasonably strong now in this one. They were bleeding brakes and doing little jobs on that car number 22 in between the races.
Hard to get the start here when the cars line up around the corner. So the guys are trying to straighten those cars up to the best start they can.
So the VF Commodore has won all 4 races to start this season. Is this the day the FG Falcon gets on the board? Mark Winterbottom for FPR starting from pole position. Coulthard look to get a really racy start. This is going to be even going to turn 2. But Winterbottom holds his nerve, gets a good fly up and shoots through. Tyre bundle attacked.
Courtney, good start. He also got up the inside and was able to grab Whincup.
Scott McLaughlin looks as though he's been outrun down to turn 4 by Jonathan Webb. Oh. Webb on the inside, squeezes in front.
There was a little bit of contact between Whincup and Courtney at turn 4 hairpin. It was only a brush. It was no big deal, but there was a little touch there. Not a lot of love lost between these two guys. And look at this, Coulthard looking racy at turn 6. And Winterbottom covered him down there. Remember that at this stage the brakes are cold, the tyres have not pressured up, the temperature's not up on the tyres either. So the cars are a bit awkward to drive in this first lap or 2 until everything comes up to normal temp.
Will Davison having a fair go at Whincup too, Matt.
All 3 starts from Fabian Coulthard have been great. He's just been on the wrong side of the track. That was Whincup down to 4, the hairpin, tucked in behind Courtney.
Todd Kelly's complaining on the radio that someone ran him off on the back straight. So that's Van Gisbergen who's made good ground there. He's battling with McLaughlin and Craig Lowndes ranging up in behind the 2 of them. This will be pretty wild down here at turn 6. McLaughlin won't want to give this away. He's on the dirty side of the road and he gets down the inside. Now Lowndes and Van Gisbergen have a bit of history at this corner over the weekend.
Whoa, look at the entry into turn 6 for McLaughlin. I don't know if he made contact with Van Gisbergen, but it was mighty close.
Good job there. For them to get through there and give each other some racing room. That was very, very good driving. So Whincup now just ranges up in behind. Coulthard knows that if he doesn't get Winterbottom soon, the brake performance will get knocked around. Once the car's in the slipstream and the cooling of the front brake isn't good enough, then your brake performance isn't quite good enough then to be able to have a dive. So he's got to do it early or he won't get it done.
So they feed on through. Fastest lap last time around belonged to Mark Winterbottom, 52.4. So that's what happened to Scott McLaughlin. He got swamped at the start. Jason Bright went around him. Jonathan Webb went on the inside of him. And, yep. It's extraordinary how they all get through. Side by side here of the teammates. James Moffat on the right with Todd Kelly on the left.
Ooh, that's not good. I think that may have been why Todd was complaining there a little bit, I think.
He was complaining about the run up the back straight with Murrow Engel, gave him a bit of a run around. So that's also a little bit of a diffuser, part of the rear bumper assembly from one of the cars has come unglued there.
They're headed towards that spot down there at turn 7. Scott Pye with Lee Holdsworth and Tony D'Alberto behind him.
This is going to be pretty lively because Lee's on the wrong side of the road as they go up over the rise for turn 1. He's been able to stay there. Will D'Alberto turn in? Two of them get in there okay. That was good driving from both those guys. And now Davison pulls up in behind Slade. Very close to contact there. Russell Ingall in behind Alex Davison.
Safety car. So we've got that debris on the racetrack will trigger a safety car. You can't have something of that size sitting on the racetrack. So race director Tim Schenken has just called that. And they'll all get the message.
It's turn 7, last turn. Safety car.
It looked as though it might have been off one of the Mercs, maybe Tim Slade. The result is the Petters STP safety car has been deployed. The field will be compressed, so we'll take a quick break.
Safety car increasing speed to 120.
Speeding up to 120, so obviously no start. Safety car, yes, 120 on the straights where you can, thank you. And when you get to turn 4, slow up to 80 and hold 80. Frank, we got some loose bodywork, left front, top of the guard, car 55 passing, or probably just past you now, 55. Mechanical flag for 55. No. Pit this lap, mate, we've got a black flag for loose bodywork. I need you to pit this lap, please, mate.
Welcome back. Well, the debris has been cleared from down at turn 7, but David Reynolds' patched up car has come unstuck. So he's been shown a mechanical flag and will have to go through pit lane on the restart. They did such a stellar job to get this thing back together, and it was looking brand new, but you can't do everything in such a short period of time. So the Petters STP Chrysler safety car pulls away. It leaves Mark Winterbottom in control. Everybody ordered to be on their best behaviour for the restart. So this is your order. Winterbottom, Coulthard, Courtney. Then Jamie Whincup, Will Davison, Jason Bright. Started from position 8, he's up to 6.
And this is Coulthard's chance. He's got to make this restart as good as he possibly can. He's done a good job through the final corner, and that's a good job. They got away a little bit on Courtney and Whincup, and that's as good as you can expect when you're the lead driver. You can basically put the throttle on whenever you like. So he got a little jump, Winterbottom, and Courtney and Whincup just in behind the 2 front runners.
Is Fabian close enough? Will he have a dive early on down here at turn 4? Probably not this time. So single file, almost. Van Gisbergen tucked in, close.
It's amazing the difference between a couple of races based on qualifying position as Lowndes and Van Gisbergen get back into it here. Tander was racing in the last one, but because he qualified so poorly, he's getting a whack at the moment. Look at this. So these guys were at it in race number 3 yesterday. This time, Van Gisbergen prevails down the inside at turn 6. So it emphasises, Mark, the point about how critical qualifying is. So Tander, who did such a great job in race number 4, starts further back in this one, finds himself in that mid-pack battling. It's so hard to clear the traffic.
It certainly is, and he was having a bumping duel with Scott Pye on the way out of turn 4 or in turn 4 on the previous lap. So Van Gisbergen goes across the cover, but he's moved it over in the braking area. And there's a lot of chat about this because you can't move the car over once you've committed to the braking area. There was drama here last year with Lowndes and Davison. That's a big move there from Van Gisbergen. They couldn't go anywhere. McLaughlin and Lowndes were parked up. So Van Gisbergen took a bit of a punt and went down the inside, got away with that, but then he blocked Lowndes on the previous lap into turn 4. As you said, Croppo, qualifying here is just so important. It's so hard to pass. Guys have been a bit more contained than I thought they would be. I thought there'd be more drama at turn 4.
Russell Ingles come to the pit lane there as well in the super cheap car. You can see him way off in the background. Here he is. So I don't know what the drama is here for Rusty.
So he's got a puncture. Left front.
So Tander and Pye, and here we go. That's Russell was involved there somewhere with Tim Slade, and there's obviously a few cars involved in that, so maybe somewhere along the line he's copped a puncture in that process, Ingle.
You can hear Matt Crawford.
Good call, Scaife. He's just standing next to Russell's car. It's not just a puncture, he's actually got a hole. It's ripped the side of the sidewall of his front left tyre there, so that's obviously a result of contact.
Yeah, well done, Marco. And that's a bit unfortunate because he's had a tough weekend. His form in the early part of the year has been very good, and this weekend when Tander and Courtney, who run out of the same garage effectively, have been very competitive. Russell hasn't found the sweet spot for his car over the weekend, and that's the damage you can see there. Now we're on board now with Whincup as he's right up in behind. We're just up in front. You can see Courtney, Coulthard and Winterbottom. Whincup's trying to get by Courtney.
He returned Russell's car back to their Adelaide settings because remember he jumped out of the truck for the Clipsal 500 and we all remarked how competitive he was. There's Bright getting stuck into it with Will Davison here as well. It's a shame we won't get to see Russell now after that tyre damage to see whether or not that setup change helped him. Jonathan Webb down the inside of Will Davison. Contact. That's awkward in that spot.
Bright's cleared himself of that angry pack.
Yeah, that was a good move. He needed to get by. He did a good job. On board now with Scott McLaughlin right up behind Jonathan Webb. Webb dived down the inside. I thought that was going to be a drama with Will Davison. Now Van Gisbergen tries to get down the outside of Scott McLaughlin. They're all alongside each other. There's a bit of an overlap. They come out of there clean. So Lowndes in behind. Tander is the next car. That's the top 11 cars.
And Ingles also radioed to say there's further problems with the front left-hand corner of that car. 0.2 of a second is the official margin. Winterbottom to Coulthard. Then Courtney, Whincup, Bright. This is a brewing battle, this one. This pack here, it's pretty tightly squeezed at the moment. It's headed up by Will Davison. Oh, this is on board here with Jamie. So So look for Whincup here. He'll look to the inside, but there's never any room because inevitably the guy in front covers, which in this case is Courtney.
They're all doing it. He moved it over in the braking area also, so lucky so far to not have further contact. Once you put your foot on the brake at the hairpin and the car in front moves across, you are definitely going to make contact in the braking area if that's like that. That's Matt Crawford. Bryce Seals just looking at the left-hand front. Look at the pressure that Fabian's putting on Frosty.
And that's something that Frosty remarked on in between races 4 and 5. In race 4, he qualified 7th and finished 6th, and he just said to me he was racing the whole time. He was in battles the whole way.
Also said to us when we were there, Matt, that he was finding the brakes were hurting a bit as well.
You guys are still capping everyone else. You're doing really well. Keep it up.
So the Microsoft Office 365 last 4 laps shows 3 out of 4 green boxes for Fabian. The numbers don't lie.
On that subject of brakes, radio message to Fabian Coulthard then, going to have to be easier on the brakes. He's
on, so the best thing is save our brakes.
seeing big brake temperatures, and that message you just heard then was to Jason Bright. So both of them, it's because that car on screen is ingesting hugely hot air from the preceding car, as well as it being the second toughest track on brakes on the tour. So once they get much above 900 degrees, they'll start to fade at the fronts. Then you lock the rear brakes and you have a problem pulling up at the hairpin.
That was his chance then. That was the closest that he's been into turn 6. That was his opportunity. Come off the hairpin at turn 4. Mark Larkham explained the racing lines there before, and the way he got off the corner was very good. He was in the slipstream and he got right up as close as you need to be. Maybe a missed opportunity then for Fabian. Look how close they are at the hairpin. So that's the exit, first gear to second. And you've got to get the drive off the corner. Courtney looks like he's struggling a little bit for rear grip. Now that's back to Bright. So from Whincup's car, the car that's in 5th position is Jason Bright, a previous race winner.
See the amount of flutter at the rear of the bonnet on Whincup's there in the buffeted air from James's car. Jamie chases 3rd gear a bit longer through turn 6, 7 than many of them. He didn't do the really super short shift and grabbing 4th gear earlier, so the car balance must be pretty good to handle that, to chase it further up through the torque and horsepower range to be able to cope with it without the car winding sideways. He's got to try and do something here about Courtney, and he's got to try and do it cleanly, because if he doesn't, he's going to have a real problem here with Jason Bright, who's cleared himself of that next group of cars, having qualified down the order, as we said when we chatted on the pit apron before things got started. So he's one of the guys that, by comparison to his run in the last race, qualifying has really burned him in this event, despite having a quick car.
Yeah, Russell Ingles just departed the pit lane again. They had a good look around, good shake of things, couldn't find anything obvious. I mean, sometimes when you have 3 hot tyres and you put 1 cold tyre with a lesser pressure on, can make the car feel kind of weird. Russell's pretty experienced, he'd know that, so nothing obvious at the moment.
Yeah, I heard him say that there was something weird about it. Matt Crawford was talking about, is the steering straight? That's normally the first indicator of whether there's further damage if the steering isn't straight or not.
The enforcer's back out there. We know one thing, he will never give up. Mark Winterbottom looks to just to put a little bit of fresh air in between him and Fabian Coulthard, who was on maximum attack over the last 5 laps. Frosty trying to chase down Ford's first win of the season. For such a short circuit, it can do some real damage, this place. This is Dean Fiore in the Dodo entry. Damage to the front right of that Commodore. So we're approaching the halfway mark of this 5th race. And this little battle between Jono Webb and Scott McLaughlin continues. Shane van Gisbergen is watching patiently, probably impatiently, more to the point behind, waiting for something to unfold. So that's positions 7, 8 and 9.
On the last lap, the fastest guy appropriately was the leader, Mark Winterbottom. He's still in the low 52s. He's actually skipped the margin out slightly in that break, and here's Murrow Engel, who went off the road at turn 6 in the pit lane. The gap is actually out to 0.8 now, Winterbottom to Coulthard. Here's what happened to him. He ran wide at 6, and that will have done damage to that tyre set. And in he comes.
So a couple of guys have done a very good job. Alex Premer has made the most amount of ground. He's made 8 positions, starting 24th up to 16th. Scott Pye, 4 spots. And Rick Kelly up from 25th. Very good job, 6 positions. For whatever reason, I just asked a second ago, is Todd Kelly now? He's got some drama.
I went on to like 6 cylinders.
Well, that's not good news. No. They're out of spare engines there.
Yeah, copy. We, nothing unusual, nothing that we didn't see in the last race.
So they're talking about not...
got fuel pressure. Something shoot itself, man.
They're talking about not seeing any data on the telemetry that gives them an indication or a hint as to what the problem may be. So Todd's taking the opportunity to pull it off rather than let it hammer itself to death. They've got a very short turnaround now. They're going to have to replenish their engine stock for next weekend in New Zealand. So it's 0.87 of a second. So Winterbottom's actually easing away now from Coulthard. Fastest man in the first sector on this lap is actually James Courtney, who's done the best time we've seen all race long. So hard to imagine then when you're this far into the race that your tyres have still got that level of performance in them, but they have. This little battle here continues to represent a nice little point of friction because Bright is just annoying the back of Whincup at the moment. So Jamie cannot afford to relax. And incidentally, we were making reference to him a moment ago, but it was a happy birthday on Friday for Alex Premer, 31 years of age.
They're the fastest laps for Coulthard, who at 52.07 just made a little bit of ground. He's still around a second behind Winterbottom. They've been trading those laps. Courtney did a very good first sector that Neil made reference to before, 52.19. Alex Premer was down in the garage between races. He hasn't been able to get a handle on the new car, and obviously McLaughlin's been going very well. In this race, he's only about 1/10 of a second slower than his teammate, so they've made an improvement to that car today for sure.
Scafie, I'm standing down here at what is one of the best places in Australian motorsport to view a V8 supercar coming off turn 7. And the commitment we talk about here, these guys behind me here are coming through here at 100% throttle, and they make that commitment way back over there at turn 6 coming off the main straight. Now, funny story, because they do that, they end up, a lot of them in the dirt, throws up a lot of dust we've seen, which is quite dangerous. So during the course of the event, they've actually put some rocks down there, like some aggregate, some road aggregate. And I walked over here a second ago, stuck my head out, there's one went off, and I got sprayed by rocks. So I had to duck down like an idiot. You know, as a kid, when you go to the speedway and you sort of, why isn't anyone sitting up in the first 3 rows of the seats? So down you go with your hot dog, full of dirt.
You're a lunatic. We don't feel sorry for you either. That's the thing. That's why we're laughing. So 165 kilometres an hour where Mark Larkin was just standing. One of the best corners in Australian motorsport. Really committed, use every bit of the road. And then up and over that rise, turn 1 and 2.
And that speed reference you make is the slowest corner in the middle of the corner. So they only just touched that ever so briefly. And everything after that is all acceleration through turn 7. That's the slowest, so that's more than 100 miles an hour in the old language, so they're fairly honking along there at the moment. Look at Bright, and consider the brake temps on the front of that car, and he's already been warned about it just to try and get some cool air in the front. So he's very close to the back of Whincup. These guys are only 3.6 seconds off the lead of the race, or specifically this man. So it's not a very big margin, 1st to 5th. Someone's coming in for tyres on this lap, Tim Blanchard. So he must have hurt the tyres, maybe locked up somewhere. Alex Davison, spoke to him before the start of the race. He's up the inside of Lee Holdsworth here. That's for position 14 for Alex, and he got through and he's got it done. So again, Holdsworth finds himself almost smack bang in the middle of the field in the Irwin Tools Mercedes. There's his team owner, Charlie Schwerkolt, who is a former co-owner of Dick Johnson Racing. Campbell Little in the foreground, engineer for Alex. We've got a bit more rubbish up on the road there in the braking area into 4. So there's a bit of stuff coming adrift there. It's when we get all that nose to tail stuff. This is Tim Blanchard, Wilson Security Racing, the Dick Johnson entry. So I'm guessing that they flat spotted. He actually had contact with somebody up there, hasn't he?
Pit lane's clear, mate. The right front is completely fucked. Pit lane is clear.
Look at this, Bright. On to the back of Whincup, big time now. He's going to have a bit of a look at him when they get down to the hairpin. Remember, this is all sprint racing. There are no pit stops other than those that you're forced to take because of an issue, which is what we just saw.
I've just been looking at the sector times and overall lap times for the entire top 10 as Bright has a big dig on the inside but locks it up. So Whincup gets away with that one. The intention was clear.
Good work, mate. Keep the pressure on there.
And the point was that there's basically no difference in sector times and overall lap times for the entire top 10 over the last 4 or 5 laps.
That was Andrew Edwards, engineer, encouraging Jason Bright, but Jason really had to apply some brake pressure there in an awkward spot in the corner, which locked up the inside front and carried that tyre. He can't afford a flat spot when he is having a crack there.
And remember, guys, that gap was almost a second with Winterbottom to Coulthard. It's now 0.5. It was 0.3 on the previous lap. This is on.
Welcome back. Commercial free now to the end of this race on 7 Sport. Zeroing in on position 7 of Jonathan Webb. Our race leader continues to be Mark Winterbottom, who is slugging it out with Fabian Coulthard at the front. And Jason Bright has been slugging it out with Jamie Whincup, and it continues. But yet again, advantage Whincup out of turn 4.
One of the things that's really interesting me, and I saw it a lap earlier, is what might be colour scheme, but the apparent difference in front ride height between the Red Bull car and the Team BOC car of Jason Bright. It looks like the gap between the front guard and the wheels much higher on Jason's car. There might be an illusion, which occasionally you see with different paint schemes, but there's a lot of pitch in that car of Bradley's. It really tips itself rearward, and it's just very, you can see, if you really studied the front of both these cars carefully, you can see a different rate with which they longitudinally lay back, pitch to the back of the car, and the ride height gap, the relationship of the front wing to the road between the two of them. So they're set up very differently, and that's the first time I've really picked it up. It's very noticeable on both those BJR cars.
A lot more sort of speedboat. If you have a look right now, the front of the 888 car stays there, and that one comes up.
Yeah, the air gap under the Team BOC car there at the moment relative, and it's not just happening at the front, it's also squatting a lot in the rear to achieve it. So very different philosophy for some reason between those two teams.
Guys, the learning curve for Erebus Motorsport has been pretty close to vertical over time, and at the moment Lee Holdsworth sitting in 15th spot, and that will be their best result of the 5 races so far this season. Ross Stone is in the bunker. Ross, Lee doing the right thing, going well.
Yeah, he's actually doing a really good job. It's hard work for him, but he's doing everything he can to get there, and we've just got to hang in there until we get an engine upgrade for Perth. So,
Ross, happy birthday for earlier in the week, 260th.
Oh,
congratulations.
Massive crash.
Sorry, we're going to have to come back to you there.
That's Scott Pye.
That's a massive crash. He's gone straight ahead at turn 2 and made very, very heavy impact with the outside wall. There's guardrail. Let's listen.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I was pumping it as much as I could. It was okay, it's just a complete failure.
When he says pumping, he's talking about pumping the brakes. So he's had some brake issue down there. This is a Lucas Dumbrell Motorsport entry driven by Scott Pye.
I thought it was last at the end.
That is a massive accident when they go headlong into a wall like that. The forces that go through the chassis are extreme. Fortunately, he's okay.
Porsche medical car there with Dr. Carl Lee running over to see Scott's okay. That's very much a straight on, and it's just from the sound of that radio communication, it's been a brake failure of some description, whether that's a front brake rotor explosion or a hydraulic problem. And this is going to be a shot now. You see straight ahead, hasn't retarded at all, and bang in. That's as heavy front impact as we've seen for a long time.
Lucky not to flip over here. You watch the force of this impact and what it does to the Ecole Commodore. Nose first, flips right up. And the crowd, understandably, are scared of that one. It's the biggest one that Scott Pye will ever have. And some people just can't watch.
Yeah, that's a nasty image. Here it is again. And listen, just listen. Yeah, so it skated through the gravel. Why it skated through there, we heard Scott say, I was pumping. So it kind of suggests that there was either a suspension or a brake failure. We'll get on top of it.
That was David Couchy, the little guy that was in the front of shot in the garage. He's normally the data analysis man at 888, so he's in there helping that team. Look at the images there. I've never seen a car go as high that way. And it basically arrived like that, didn't it? Because when it actually made contact, it was already very nose down. Let's hope Scott's okay.
There's the brake master cylinders you can actually see there in that crumpled under the bonnet area. So Lucas Dumbrell there, the owner of the team.
Paul Morris.
Scott's just 23 years of age in his first full-time V8 supercar gig.
Yeah, and I'm down here with Brendan Hogan. Sorry, mate, Scotty's engineer. Mate, any indications prior to that happening of this may have been going to happen? Any issues, any feedback?
Yeah, he said there was a little drama with the brakes going along, but yeah, he said he was pumping it up and it was coming good. And it looks like on the telemetry it's just had like a failure in the front brakes. So
just looking at it, mate, it didn't retard much speed. It wasn't a throttle on. It was actually a no brakes.
Yeah, definitely a no brake.
All right, mate. And in cases like that, you saw when Scott got out, he had that device around his back of his neck there, attached to his helmet, which is a HANDS device, or FHR, frontal head restraint. Great device in instances like that.
It's the acceleration that the driver experiences and the extra weight of the helmet on his neck. Let's just have a quiet look at this again. So right at that point, the load in Scott's neck and helmet is extreme, and so the device that Mark Larkham's making reference to there dampens that forward force and protects him, together with the 6-point harness and the FIA-approved seat that the drivers are in. Collapsible steering column for car of the future as well also helps to protect the drivers. So they're encased in something of a safety cell.
I've never seen a car go in there before, have you?
No.
In all the years, I've never seen a car in that Armco.
No, I've seen them wobble off down there because it's a popular spot to outbrake yourself, but not to the extent that it's hit the wall.
They'll have to use a spare, because that car is sourced from 888, they'll be looking to use a spare car from 888 to get to New Zealand for next weekend.
It's also going to be a drama trying to clear this car at the moment as well.
Which raises the spectre of when this race will be declared, because it's a time-certain finish at 15 minutes past the hour plus 1 lap, and we're approaching 8 minutes past the hour local time. But the good news is, of course, is that Scott is out of the car, and you just know with impacts of that magnitude.
Okay, safety car at when you're at 3.5, you just up your speed to 100. Let's have it 100 all the way around to turn 1 again. We've got this recovery underway.
The reason why Tim bumps the speed up is because these cars, unlike your road car, don't have a fan in them to help cool. Yesterday, for example, at that restart where the cars were down around 60 kilometres an hour, almost universally down the pit lane there was a cry about the engine temperature, because the water temperature goes off the scale without the airflow through the front of the car. So what he's doing is out of harm's way when he's not in this danger zone where the work's being done with, importantly, officials on the racetrack, which is an incredibly important consideration. He brings the speed up, and then when the safety car comes back round to this caution zone, he'll bring the speed back down again on the Petters STP safety car. So that's the reason why he's just increasing it to 100 kilometres an hour. It looks incredibly slow though, doesn't it? It's the legal road limit. There he is in the centre of that frame. Former Ferrari sports car driver, Formula One driver, a very experienced man. He's been part of the Confederation of Australian Motorsport administrative team on the motorsport side for a very long time. Michael Massey closest to camera, and Cam McConville, who's the investigating officer and driving standards observer for V8 Supercars.
And just heard Tim there say he's proposing to start this at the end of this lap, and he wants to get this show back on the road.
That's a great job by the recovery crew, because we'd only just said 60 seconds earlier that this could be a drama, but they've done a ripper job of actually getting that car up and on the flatbed truck off the side of it. And we say this repeatedly on tour, but for good reason. But a big shout out to all of our volunteer officials who man all of these facilities around the country and internationally. They do a huge job.
Back to 80, proposing to release you into this lap for my confirmation.
The flaggies, the fire marshals, the intervention marshals. There's an enormous team of people that bring the show together, and it's volunteer work, and they do a huge job.
Neil, if I could just quickly show you, I've managed to grab a HANDS device down on the pit lane. So here it is. Obviously the head driver's neck goes up between there. These little tethers attached to little pivot points on the either side of your helmet, and this sits under your belt. So obviously in a forward impact, and these don't work sideways, they only work I think about 30 degrees either side, but in that instance where Scott went in there, that would have been a lifesaver.
Yeah, thanks, Larko. Indeed it is, and it's already had a positive impact globally on race driver safety.
So we're getting ready for a restart now. Just a few minutes ago, Mark Winterbottom would never have thought that he'd be in this position with what will be 5 full running laps to go. And look at Fabian Coulthard. The Lockwood Commodore is trying to stick like glue to the back of the Pepsi Max Ford. He knows that this is his one and only shot here. He's got to stay close. It's a dash to the finish. The drama's not done with yet at Symmons Plains. So much at stake. Winterbottom trying to land Ford's first victory of the season. Coulthard, can he deliver a clean sweep for Brad Jones Racing?
Oh, off the road for Davey. Remember, he was out of sequence. Got away with it.
Tander just got by Lowndes. Lowndes has had a drama there. Looks like a gearbox issue there for Craig.
I have no idea, JJ. Of his first year and it just coughed and spluttered.
So it was an engine thing. He was in first gear and just coughed and spluttered. So very good restart for Fabian. Right up behind Mark Winterbottom with only a couple of laps to run. Pressure on also for Courtney with Whincup.
Reignites this battle between Bright and Whincup as well. Courtney's got a tiny bit of extra margin, but watch Coulthard again up in the hairpin. He's trying to force a gap down the inside, and he gets it up there this time. And block passes and done. Nice work. Well done, the Kiwi. Fabian Coulthard grabs the lead at race number 5, and he's got a big margin, in fact growing. Does Winterbottom have a problem, or has it taken a moment to recover?
You can get him.
I think it's the latter, Crompo. He just jagged and weaved on the exit of turn 4 there, Mark Winterbottom, when he knew that Coulthard took the dive. What an extraordinary turn of events.
Didn't think he could make that stick, but he got enough of the nose up there, and then Winterbottom gave him some space. There was some contact.
Yeah, Fab, free to go, mate.
Now he's got to hang on to it. Can he do it? Got a margin over the next group, so there are two distinct battles here, Coulthard and Winterbottom, and then the next argument involves Courtney, Whincup and Bright.
And Will Davison.
But Winterbottom may return serve here. Don't write him off, because if he dives down the inside in a similar move, even if you make a little bit of contact, you're on the right side of the road for turn 6. So don't write him off yet. James Small just said to Mark Winterbottom, you can get him, mate, you can get him.
He is coming back closer. Remember, just after the move, there was quite a gap. I thought for a minute there may have been an upshift issue or something with Winterbottom, because all of a sudden he seemed to lose a bit of ground. Some of it was corner exit speed, momentum, no doubt. So the gap is officially half a second, but it's on here for this battle for third at the moment. Courtney's got the edge.
Bright is pushing Whincup hard. Whincup is trying to lasso James Courtney. Our championship leader in car 1, the Red Bull Racing Commodore, is trying to get yet another podium finish. And Courtney's holding on as Bright looks on the inside.
And when you take that tight line, you get a lot of wheel spin on the exit, and it makes it difficult to launch. So Bright got up there, but there's nowhere to go on the other side of it. A little bit of flutter on the front wing also of Jamie Whincup's car, I noticed, under brakes going into turn 4. One of the things that we've seen already this year, and this is the 5th race of the championship, we're seeing a lot of variety. So these cars are all scrambled up race to race, qualifying to qualifying, so we're seeing lots of people have big weekends here. Courtney's having one at the moment. Can he stay on the podium? He's got Whincup all over the back of him, and there's a little bit of contact here at 2.
The battle's not done with up the front either. Just over half a lap to go. A big lock-up for Mark Winterbottom as he tries to go as deep as he can. Jason Bright goes deep. Courtney has them climbing all over him for this final spot on the podium.
Bright got him. He got him round the outside at turn 4. He completely rounded him up. They're pretty excited at Brad Jones Racing because Fabian Coulthard's going to get away with a big lock-up for Frosty. He's completely flat-spotted the front left. Will he make it home? He's going to have no corner speed in the final corner. The winner will be Coulthard. What about Frosty?
3 out of 3 for Brad Jones Racing, a weekend of perfection. And Mark Winterbottom limps home. And it's gone.
Wasn't a podium there.
James Courtney, 3rd. Bright, 4th.
Awesome, Fab. That was awesome. You're patient. You did a great job, mate. Awesome.
That's Phil Keaty's engineer. That was a great job. Hard, tough racing. And look at this. Mark Winterbottom, how did he get through that last corner with the front tyre failed?
Great. That was a great bit of driving. A really world-class bit of driving. Very committed. And this guy, great pass at this exact spot. Turn 4 made the difference.
They didn't bother waiting for the go-ahead to do some circle work.
Nice work.
When you've had a weekend like that, they're going to have to get another seat on the plane to take all the silverware back. Look out, New Zealand. Here comes Fabian Coulthard, right on time. 2 wins for the weekend to go with his partner Jason Bright in a clean sweep for BJR. James Courtney back on the podium. He was up there in Sydney. Jamie Whincup in 5th. Scott McLaughlin in 8th with Van Gisbergen and Tander rounding out our top 10. So Lee Holdsworth leading the way for Erebus Motorsport and the Mercedes-Benz. So that's their highest finish since entering the championship. James Moffat, the best of the Nissans. And as we know, Scott Pye with a big crash, and the medical team will be keeping a close eye on him.
Well, good news. Everyone will be very relieved to see Scott sitting up now, mate. You're okay?
Yeah, not too bad. Slightly sore wrist, a bit of a headache, but yeah, fortunately, big shunt like that, we came out of it okay. The car held up well.
It was an enormous impact when we look back at it on the replay. Tell us what happened.
We struggled with brake fade, and we actually got the guys to bleed the brakes on the grid before the start of the race because I was a bit concerned about it. And then 25 to go, the pedal started getting really long. I was pumping it madly, but there was just no warning into one. It went straight to the floor, and I tried to aim for the straight shoot to the hairpin, but unfortunately just couldn't turn the car, and straight went into the wall, braced myself, and knew it was going to be a pretty big impact.
You did an amazing job. You'll be no doubt a little bit sore tomorrow, but it's great to see you in one piece and sitting here and looking so good.
Thanks, mate. I'm just a bit more disappointed about the pace we had in the car, and we couldn't really show that today.
We'll see you in Pukekohe.
Hopefully. Thank you.
Yeah, that was an almighty incident. It's been an almighty weekend for other reasons for Fabian Coulthard and the Lockwood Commodore. 2 wins. They've really got a grip and a handle on car of the future.
Certainly have. Doesn't it look good shaping up for New Zealand with Fabian Van Gisbergen? Do you see he drive up alongside and wave? So the New Zealanders are uniting with their performance so far this year.
Well, Fabian Coulthard, congratulations. What a weekend this has turned out to be. 2 wins. Well done.
Yeah, look, it's been awesome. It's, one of those weekends, you got to capitalise when the car's good, and the car was very, very good. It was good to have a battle there with Frosty, and, to come away with 2 first place and a 3rd. It's not a bad weekend.
Let's get to Pukekohe.
Yeah, can't wait. Choice, brother.
All the best, Fabian. Well done. Mark Winterbottom in 2nd place. Boy, that was hard work out there today. Well done. A good result on the podium.
Yeah, no, car was good. Yeah, a little bit disappointed. Driven into the front wheel there, but good on him. We'll give it back to him, no worries, at another round, and obviously try and push on for that win. But yeah, blew the tyre over the line because the contact just smashed the front tyre. So yeah, another podium. It's a good result.
Courageous, Frosty. Well done. Congratulations. Enjoy it up there. And James Courtney, good to see you back on the podium. Well done. That was hard work this weekend, but you got there in the end.
Yeah, it's a crazy old weekend. We had good pace at all different times, but qualifying we struggled. Got a good qualifying the second one this morning, but it was good to get off the line nice. Just consistent car, looked after its tyres, but in the end there it was a bit hairy, so had to protect the tyres and block a little on the last lap to get over the line. But no, it's good. Good to be back.
Welcome back to the podium. Good result for the team. Thanks, JC.
Hi, Kaz and the kiddies.
Jamie Whincup, mate, a little bit unusual we have these chats when you haven't had a ripper weekend. Not the best. I mean, can you put your finger on your weekend? It just hasn't been to your standard, nor Craig's, to be honest.
Well, in some way I think we're improving, to be honest. We're a fair bit off at Adelaide and then at the Grand Prix. So this weekend, we got a pole position. We're sort of showing some promise, but nowhere near where we'd like to be. And hey, it could have been a lot worse. So I'm definitely going to take the points and run, but we've got some work to do.
And I could see that, mate. Towards the end there, I mean, the smart thing to do is to take the points, because I see you like to fight when you can fight. But I saw that as an acknowledgement that you really couldn't fight.
No, I think you're spot on. Yeah, we're not really in the battle. We're just hanging on, just trying to stay with the lead guys. And yeah, it's not a position we've been in, but hey, we were pretty well down in the dumps last year with FPR, and we turned it all around. So watch this space.
I suspect it won't be long. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Well, he's hanging on well. 246 points for the event gives him the championship lead. Still, James Courtney has jumped up into 3rd after 5 races, and Mark Winterbottom 6th there. So it's time for the podium. Mark Beretta's there.
The 2013 V8 Supercars Tasmania, Microsoft offers 365, our 5th race of the season. Would you please congratulate our winner, Lockwood Racing's Fabian Coulthard. In second place from Pepsi Max Crew FPR Ford, Mark Winterbottom. In third place for the Holden Racing Team, James Courtney. And representing the winning team, Lockwood Racing, is Adam Fisher. Making the presentation of the third place trophy is Mark Perry, Director of Promoted Events, V8 Supercars. Presenting to second place from our major sponsor is Isabel Boniface, Business Productivity Manager from Microsoft. Making the presentation to the winning team is Nick Roney, District Sales Manager, Coca-Cola Amatil. And making the presentation now to our winner, the first place trophy, the Premier of Tasmania, Lara Giddings. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2013 Tasmania Microsoft Office 365 Race 5 winners.
It has been a weekend of twists and turns. One team has absolutely dominated on the top step of the podium, and that's Brad Jones Racing with Jason Bright and Fabian Coulthard, 2 out of 3.